right in that path. So the storm tracker is now chasing this storm. Aboard the storm tracker is wave meteorologist Carson Meredith, and I want to bring him in as we're sort of watching and tracking this storm. Let me just ask Carson what you're seeing where you are, Carson. And we're going to keep the radar on the screen, but while we talk to Carson, let's just get an idea of where he is and what he's looking at. Back to the radar.
Yeah, Kevin, we are just moving back through Salem. We'll show you where we are now. This is Highway 56. We're going eastbound, coming back into Salem. Kevin, we were watching those storms earlier up in Orange County. Those no longer severe. We're going to be heading back towards I-65, back towards the city, so we can kind of get behind this tornadic cell that's moving through Crawford and Harrison County here in the next 30 minutes or so. Obviously, the roads are wet. We had pretty heavy rain here for about 15 or 20 minutes or so. But again, as we head back down towards the city, we'll keep an eye on this storm, and hopefully we can track it for you as it gets closer to the metro. Kevin, back to you.
All right, thanks, Carson. We have a 4-box. I want to, when we talk to Carson, be able to put him in that so we can show folks at home what we're seeing without losing the radar view here, because obviously at a time like this, the radar is so critical for folks that are watching with this tornado warning out across parts of southern Harrison, Crawford County. So that's the zone that we're looking at. And you can see our whole team working hard just to kind of keep you updated with the latest information we have coming in here. This line of storms is the last gasp as it moves through, but we're going to see thunderstorms fire, and we already seen that ahead of that line. But so far, the most powerful part has been along that line as it moves closer to us, and that's where we have the tornado warning. Here we are in Louisville. Nothing here yet, but this storm would clip parts of northern Jefferson County and a good chunk of Floyd County if it holds together. Once again, seeing that notch on that, I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to get some very intense sort of numbers on this, both in terms of intensity with wind and hail, but also with street level mapping. So let's just dive in. I'm going to zoom into where we have the greatest wind potential here. And as we go back to our velocity, I'll point out right near the Beechwood area. Passing by Beechwood is where we would have the greatest wind potential. Now moving toward Leavenworth. If you've been to the Outlook, popular place, nice restaurant right on the river, you're going to notice that's where we have the greatest wind potential pushing in at this point. That's passing by Oriole, Beechwood, Leavenworth, Alton. This is going to be moving off to the north and east. It's moving very fast. All of these storms today, because of the intense wind energy that we have in the atmosphere, will be moving at a clip of anywhere between 40 to 60 miles an hour. So these storms are really booking it as they move on off to the north and east. So that warning continues. I'm going to just move the radar back just a bit so we can see how this is in relation to Leavenworth and then over toward Corydon. So at this point, the greatest circulation of this is just south of 64. That tornado warning continues. Notice it's flashing, and that simply means they're edging the back edge off of that. So they're going to allow parts of that to expire as it moves fairly fast. So as quickly as they're issued, the back edges of them will be allowed to expire because they are moving so fast. That's moving toward the Leavenworth area as we speak, and that's going to be pushing in with some very strong winds. The strongest winds we've had here in Louisville, you can notice our latest gust at 40 miles an hour would be much higher in a situation like this, probably on the order of 50 to 60 miles an hour. And obviously, if there were a tornado, that would put down even stronger wind gusts. Let's go over to Brian Good. Brian, I see you've zoomed into the path of that storm as well. So all eyes on that storm right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of got a bit of an angle to it, so it's going to have different arrival times as it moves across Corydon. At the moment, our SkyTrack camera actually took a hit this morning from the storm, so we don't have the view there. But we do have, of course, the storm tracker that is out. So this is their view. You can see the marker. He's just now, Carson, of course, we're trying to put him in a safe spot as he's making that journey back to the south. We're going to try to get him in behind this embedded supercell within the line itself, so we're not putting him in harm's way there. But you can see it's got 68 degrees there where he's at on the northern side. He'll be be driving through some very heavy rainfall as that storm tracks to Corda. And Kevin, once again, this is entering an area where we don't necessarily get a lot of reports. Population is a little more sparse in this particular zone in wave country, so our reports are a bit delayed. So that's usually why we have to exercise a lot of caution near I-65.
And to join you here, I just got off the phone with the Perry County Sheriff's Office. They don't have any storm damage reports at this time, with that storm still moving through early on as the storm is just now exiting the county.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Kevin, we'll send it back over to you.
Yeah, great news there. No damage yet. But as we know, in situations like this, anytime we have that rotation, which was showing up a little bit more clearly within the last scan or two, has now flattened out just a bit, but it can certainly come back in an instant. It only takes one scan to see that dip back down. So when there's the latest scan there, still pockets of strong wind within that, but it's right over the Leavenworth, just south of the Carefree area, pushing along Interstate 64, where we have the strongest wind potential with that moving through. In addition to that, let's take a look at the reflectivity. We'll go to the radar to show that. A lot of lightning. You'll see those bolts of lightning showing up, and just within that view, there have been 13 lightning strikes within just the last 10 minutes or so. So pretty decent lightning showing up with that. And let's just check to see if we have any hail. The thing about the hail is it's been so warm today, we haven't been able to generate a ton of hail at this point. So that's one good thing. We haven't had a whole lot of large hail being reported out of this storm. So we'll put our hail tracker on here and just look around the Carefree Leavenworth area. And there you see just a little bit of hail potential. So perhaps upwards of pea size, perhaps marble size. If you put it where it would be placed, it would be just past the Leavenworth area at this point. The hail tracker is always delayed by just a bit there. So that's one other piece that we're looking at. Again, tracking this along 64 takes it through Corydon and would eventually bring it toward Lanesville into parts of western Floyd County and possibly Jefferson County, Kentucky. When we look at a wider view, something we've been doing all day long, and that's just been rinse and repeat on these radar scans, looking at individual storms, noting their intensity, seeing if they're rotating, determining then if they're producing any hail and the potential wind that they would have. Along this line, this is the strongest part at this point. It's sort of on the southern flank of this, just giving you the setup of what we have and why these are a little stronger. We have strong southerly winds coming in. Notice our wind in Louisville, 15 miles an hour, strong southerly winds coming up. Well, when you get into the upper levels of the atmosphere, we have winds coming in from the southwest. So here's the jet streak coming up like this. That's the storm motion. The storms are traveling in that. As the storms grow in height, the upper level winds grab them and drag them along. So that's where we have the greatest potential. And consequently, that's where we have the tornado warning. These storms out here are having a little bit tougher time ramping up because of the wind direction coming in like this. The winds are not veered as much, so to speak. So that's the reasoning behind why that is the strongest storm that we have. It's a tornado warning that we have for another 21 minutes.
You got Jackson County and Jennings tornado warning.
Okay, and we see that one popping on the screen. So new tornado warnings coming out for the northern part of the viewing area. This is for Jackson and Jennings County. These warnings will go for another 36 minutes, and you can see that includes Dudleytown. It's just south of Seymour. Notice the little hook on that. That's one thing we'll look at. Again, the storm motion quickly off to the north and east. So that's something we'll watch as this storm travels at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. Again, radar indicated, included in that, Crothersville. So we've got two tornado warnings now. We knew the day was going to pan out like this. 3
tornado warnings now.
Let's add to it. What's the third one?
It's coming Jefferson County, Indiana. There's a cell that's north of Madison that is starting to rotate.
Okay.
As well. But the one, by the way, the one west of Austin, Indiana, that is tightening up. It's about to cross I-65 in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you can see the hook on that one there. So that's what Brian's talking about. It's tightening up. We see the hook. This is near Austin. This is 31. This is I-65. This is going to move across the interstate, push over toward DuPont. So that takes us across Scott County, pushes us into Jefferson and Washington counties back this way of southern Indiana. So we've got a number of counties in place with tornado warnings at this point, looking at each one of those. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to ask Brian to get his focus on another one, and then we're just going to break them down for you as we best we can, because it's going to start to happen very fast with the development that we have going on. Here is the rotation. You can see those sort of orangish or peachy colors in the scan. That's strong wind. That is the rotation. That's going to approach the Austin area as this makes its way. That's the rotation, makes its way across the interstate and toward Austin. This would be moving through there within the next 10 minutes. You're going to have very little time today to get in your tornado safe place. So as soon as the warnings come out, or if you notice storms we're tracking even before the warnings are out, go ahead and get low. Get in the lowest level of your place. Could be the basement, could be the lowest level, whatever it is. Just get away from the windows and let these storms pass. This is the tornado warning that we have for parts of southern Indiana that would include Scott County, also includes parts of Jefferson County, Indiana, lifting up into Jennings County. This goes until 5:30 tonight. Brian?
Well, what is interesting about that particular cell, because I've been keeping an eye on the one into Jefferson County, Indiana, is it looks like they're betting on the idea this is going to take a right turn here very soon. The velocity scans continue to worsen on this. It's still radar indicated, but this by far is probably the most intense rotation we've seen so far today. And again, it's crossing I-65 right now, crossing into the northern side of Scott County. So as always, we try to remind everybody, get into your tornado safe place, lowest level of your home, get into the basement, and get away from the exterior side of the walls. Put your tennis shoes on in case there's any broken glass you run into as well in your home. And again, closet, bathroom is great. Number one, lowest level. Number two, get away from the exterior wall. Important things to keep in mind as we got multiple tornado warnings that are out. And Kevin will have, we'll be watching that particular cells across I-65, which is about to do here in a couple minutes.
All right, number of tornado warnings. Let me give you a bigger picture of what's going on as we look at what's happening across the area. You can see the tornado watch continues for all of us. That is until 10 o'clock. We've got a number of tornado warnings, two of them to our north, Jackson County, pushing over into Jefferson County, where you find Madison. And then, of course, the one back across parts of Crawford and Harrison counties. That's one we've got close eyes on as it moves into parts of Floyd and perhaps Jefferson counties. So a number of tornado warnings now showing up. The big board shows those, about 33 minutes left on the big board for that timing. I want to zoom into these and then we'll work our way down. And again, not to forget that we have had some damage. We've got Carson Meredith on the storm tracker. He's tucking in behind this system to see if we've had any wind damage with that. Let me take you on a radar tour, and then we'll talk more about the damage that we have coming in. Again, when we look at what's taking place now with the severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, we go to the north first. This is the northern part of our viewing area. About 50 miles north of Louisville, there's Seymour, Indiana. Just south of Seymour, along the US 31 and I-65, you find Crothersville. You'll notice this little tight couplet. That's where we have some rotation, right there. That's where we're going to find it. I can show you what that looks like on the velocity, and you'll see it clearly. That's going to be the tornado if there is one, and there very well could be. And we're continuing to scan this storm, looking at not only velocity and reflectivity, but also the potential for some debris. And we'll get to that in a second with Brian. This is going to go across I-65. This is going to move through Crothersville. It's then going to move toward Comiskey. This is serious. You should be in your tornado safe place. That's one tornado that we have that we're tracking. We have a few more that are further to the south. So let me take you on that. We're just going to pan the radar down. We're going to go down to the south. You see the severe thunderstorm warning. This includes Palmyra. This is northern parts of Harrison County. We get down to New Salisbury, Corydon, and pushing into that. It's a push of wind with some rotation still showing up, but the rotation is a little bit less down across parts of Harrison County. Good news there. Now that warning will continue for still another 15 minutes. The severe thunderstorm warning that surrounds it still includes Leavenworth, still includes areas out ahead of that wind push that will now move into northern parts of Meade County. That will eventually approach the Brandenburg area. Notice here in Louisville, let's not ignore the city. We're not under a warning, but we've got them lined up just to our west. Some of those could be affected. The greatest potential for that would be downtown Louisville, anywhere from, say, over toward Portland to downtown, moving over toward St. Matthews and Prospect. That would be the area that we would watch as that storm moves off to the north and east. The tornado watch that we have across the area continues until 10 o'clock tonight. All right, I'm going to go to the home view. We've mentioned the tornado warnings that we have to the north. We've taken you through the velocity. Some of those are looking worse than others, and Brian has really got his eyes on the one that's moving across parts of Scott County. Dude, as this thing moves across parts of I-65, it is wound tight.
Yeah, in fact, I got a shear indicator a second ago of 106 miles per hour. And again, we don't have any confirmation yet. I'm checking to see.
And what about the CC? Could you see any?
There is some showing up. It's just now starting to get noise. Let me bring that up for you. Hold on one second. And this is what we're basically looking at to see if there's anything other than raindrops that will be falling. You can see it's getting a little noisy, very close to I-65. Values drop right at that point, close to interstate. Not quite all the way to the level of where we normally would see a confirmation of debris, but it's getting closer and closer to that.
And just to explain to folks at home what we were looking at, it is trying to see if the radar is seeing something foreign. Oftentimes it knows what rain is, ice, hail, that type of thing.
It can even detect birds and bugs. If it knows if it's something other than a raindrop or a snowflake that is falling here. So that's a good indicator to us that shingles or a piece of tin or a roof, anything metal can show up in that sense. And that value is starting to go up. You see it right there. That is a very well-defined hook. Let me show you. This is the camera view. Let me see if this will kick in. This is looking from the NDOT camera at the moment. You can't really tell much. This is the closest view I can get at the moment, but you can certainly see what we call the rain-free base in the distance there. Very low-hanging clouds. Obviously, this is a situation where 65 is a very dangerous spot at the moment with this crossing the interstate, Kevin.
All right. The National Weather Service canceling the warning to the south, still maintaining the warnings off to the north. So, again, we continue to watch what's happening along that line. Lots of lightning. That's another indicator whether these storms are intensifying or gradually weakening. The lightning count's important to watch. You'll notice we have it in our banner for the view that we're looking at. But when we zoom into a particular storm, we're taking into account how much lightning it's had at that particular point, and then when we do it again minutes later. So that gives us a great indicator of what is happening. Again, I'm going to go through the radar. We'll start farther to the south this time as the storms move a little closer to Louisville. We're watching those with our SkyTrack camera. We obviously have eyes on the ground. Carson's going to make his way down towards Scottsburg, tuck in behind this line. We have the tornado warning that continues for parts of central Harrison County. This includes Corydon. Again, when we look at the velocity on that, it's not quite as pronounced. And you can see that. I mean, we've got a push of wind moving into Corydon. But now let me just grab the radar, and I'm going to pull you up to the couplet that we have here moving across parts of northern Scott County. Clearly a more defined couplet from between Crothersville and Scottsburg right along I-65. That is the rotation that we have moving through that area. Let's go to Ryan Hoke.
Okay, yeah, I'm over here at the touchscreen TMP, so I'm going to have to be punched up here. Apologize for this, but we can see the base cloud of this thunderstorm up near Crothersville, Indiana, from the Indiana Department of Transportation's camera there. You can see it right here, that rain-free base where we've got the potential for a tornado to be wrapped in that. So we are watching this traffic camera. This is I-65. This is in Scottsburg. We're looking north right into the mouth of this thunderstorm here. Kevin, we're going to be monitoring this over the next few minutes.
Let's go to Brian Good. He's keeping an eye on Carson Meredith's location. We can show that visually along with the radar.
Well, we're trying to make sure he's in a spot here. Hold on 1 second. Make sure we got a couple of the warnings. Make sure nothing. Okay, they're just adjusting it for Jefferson County and Scott County. You see the storm tracker right now. He is actually on the backside. We don't want to put him in the front path, obviously, of this supercell. So he's going to try to approach in from the back portion of that so far. Carson, I'm sure you can hear us. We're going to get the radar back up. But as you're driving through, I know you're back on some of the windy roads there into Washington County. What have you noticed so far in traveling in the backside of this line?
Lots of rain, Brian. Very heavy rain. We haven't come across any damage or anything like that just yet. We were originally going to come back towards Louisville to track that storm in Harrison County, but the rotation, like you guys have been talking about in the studio on this cell, right along the Scott-Jackson County line, it is tight. So we're going to head that way kind of having to pivot back towards Scottsburg and Austin and Crothersville, see if there's been any damage with this particular cell as it's rolled through.
I'll be curious to see how that
here in the
works.
next little bit, but
I'll be curious to see what that looks like, Carson, because we're getting a little bit of conflicting information from the emergency management there. They're saying someone's called in and said there's actually a tornado that was on the ground. Now, where that came from, we're not sure, but they've put that out to the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service responded by saying, well, we've got a tornado warning out, but they don't know of anything official. So we're still looking for that official word. Is there or is there not a tornado on the ground near Crothersville? All signs point to their emergency manager saying there may be. Somebody's called in and said. So we'll wait the true word on that. There's nothing better than the ground truth. So, Carson, if you find out anything, let us know. Brian, have you seen any other information coming across?
No, nothing yet, which is a little surprising given the velocity on this. Is again, that shear was up there at about 106 knots there for a while that we were tracking. It's still maintaining itself, and that's the reason why, again, I think they've got that tornado warning that extends all the way out through Jefferson County, because again, it's already starting to take, if you look at the loop on this, it's hard to see the flow on it, but it is trying to take a little bit more of that right turn. So DuPont, right in the path, right again, it's tracking right on that county line of Jennings and Jefferson County, Indiana. This is one of those setups. The environment is actually more favorable as you journey right into portions of Jefferson County, Indiana, all the way into Ripley and perhaps north of Trimble. This zone here is actually more favorable for rotation than what we have even closer to Louisville. So that's the reason why this cell could very well get stronger. And I think the Weather Service did a great thing on getting that warning extended all the way out there.
And it's moving fast, so you still don't have a lot of time, even though it seems to be a rather long warning. Ward Jollis is also standing by. I want to get to him in a second. He's going to make some calls on Jackson County. We'll see what we can find out for Crothersville once Ward has had confirmation of yes or no from that. Let us know. We continue to track this storm. DuPont would be next in line. This takes us across northern Scott County, southern parts of Jennings County, into western Jefferson County in Indiana. So this storm is covering 4 counties in southern Indiana: Jackson, Jennings, Scott, Jefferson. And it's moving right along the boundary of all of those. So everybody is affected by that. So we'll continue to see where that takes us. The radar view of that still shows the intense lightning around that sort of inflow that you see, the notch there, the little V notch. We have some lightning. That's where we would anticipate that. Heavy rain on the forward side, the possibility of some rotation on that southern side that would have passed the Crothersville area. That's going to move right toward the county line where we bisect all 3 counties: Jennings, down into Scott, as well as Jefferson County. Let me take the radar south. I know we've got a lot of folks wanting to know about Louisville and what's going to happen here. We do have storms sitting just out to our west, but for now, we are storm-free in Louisville. We've got a little rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, but nothing severe. The severe thunderstorm warnings continue in places along that line, but the greatest concentration is along and north of the Ohio River at this point for severe weather. I'm going to zoom into the storm that's approaching Louisville. This is the one that's had a tornado warning with it for some time. It's right along Interstate 64. It's right over the Corridon area right now. We have a camera there, but it took a hit this morning, and we're still without power at that location. Now, this is going to move close to 64 as it approaches Georgetown, Lanesville, Crandall, pushing over toward New Albany. Be on standby. No warnings yet, but I suspect even with just the nature of the way the Boeing segment looks, we have a strong forward push of wind. Notice our wind in Louisville, 31. We've had it as high as 44 earlier this morning and 40 within the last hour or two, but that can still bring a tremendous wall of wind into the area that could do damage of its own. We'd call that straight line winds in those instances. And along that, we could still have some embedded tornadoes. So we do have the tornado warning. That will continue as it moves a little bit closer.
They're saying now, the deputies are saying they see the tornado heading toward Lancaster and Wirt in Jefferson County, Indiana. This is coming from the Jennings County EMA.
All right, so we do have the tornado. Back to the home view. This is the storm to the north, the one that we were tracking across parts of southern Indiana. I'm going to zoom in and show you some of those locations that Brian just mentioned when we said, yes, we do have the tornado. Again, working with many municipalities in this. We have Jackson, Scott, Jennings, and now Jefferson County. When we look at the rotation. I'm going to go in as close as I can. You can see that here. There's Uniontown, Dudleytown, Crothersville, Austin, Indiana. This storm was moving toward Lancaster and Wirt in Jefferson County. That would be Jefferson County over here. Let me move the radar. I'll pan it back for you so you can see and sort of get your bearings here. This is the side. This is Jefferson County here. There's Kaminsky. This is Jennings County, Scott County, Jackson County. All right. So we're going to move this tornado across the line, across Indiana 3, right along 250. And that puts it just south of DuPont, not far from Lancaster and Wirt. This is Jefferson County, Indiana. So again, that storm is on the move. It's moving fast. It has the potential. If it's not putting down the tornado, it certainly has
Kevin,
the potential.
Jackson County Sheriff's Department is asking for help, everyone to get to seek shelter. They're saying they touched down in Crothersville and they cannot get the tornado sirens to work.
Okay. Bad deal there. Tornado sirens haven't sounded. It's past Crothersville at this point. What damage has been done? Yet to be found out. Carson Meredith is on his way. He is chasing this storm. We will know momentarily as we tuck in behind it and see if there's been any type of touchdown. We've asked our news department to make calls. John Bowles out here. He's running into the newsroom to make sure. What do you have?
Back up to 104 miles per hour now.
Let's go over to your radar.
Yeah, this is what we're looking at. Again, we're looking at the wind going toward and from the radar, and right in this particular spot. It's very close to 250 west of 3 and south of really 250 southeast of Uniontown. Here's Crothersville, and this is where, again, according to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, they said that there was a touchdown there, but they were not able to get the tornado sirens activated. And that was where the rotation was showing up. It crossed I-65. Now it's moving right there into the northeast side there as you head out of Scott County, right in the northwest. It's really 3 counties, as Kevin's talking about. It's kind of covering 3 at once here, but northwest, Jefferson, far southern Jennings, northeast areas of Scott County, Indiana. And this is going to hold together, it looks like, for a while based on the environment ahead of it, to where this is a big heads up for those of you in DuPont itself, north of Madison, Indiana. You need to get into your basement now until we get a confirmation otherwise that this has not touched down. We have to go with the reports we're getting from emergency officials.
Yeah, and that's what we're waiting to hear. We know they're busy. We know a lot of the emergency lines that we're trying to tap into are busy, and we're not going to bother them. We're going to let them do their jobs. It's why we have people on the ground moving there, but we do have a number of folks working.
And they have changed it to an observed tornado now.
Okay, so we do have the observed tornado tag on this. That is the tornado warning that we have moving across Jefferson County, Indiana, as it now moves near Kaminsky, pushing over south of DuPont. This will move right along Indiana 250. That would put it near Lancaster and Wirt, as we've been mentioning. This is where you need to be in your tornado safe place, lowest level, away from windows. You have to take this tornado seriously, simply because we have had now, when we've looked at emergency management information that's been coming in, when we've talked to some of our viewers, it now comes with that tag, radar indicated, now being changed to confirmed or observed tornado. Hail is still possible, but the main threat, obviously, the rotation and the wind that we have moving with this storm. Just to reset ourselves, back to our home view we go. You're going to notice the tornado warnings to the north, storms approaching the Louisville area from the west. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that's now coming out for parts of Breckenridge and Hancock counties. That's going to slide into parts of Meade County. That's along this line that sits just west of us. That's the latest severe thunderstorm warning that's out. Again, when you see the tornado warning just to the north of that, follow the arrow. That's the tornado warning that's getting closer to us. The severe thunderstorm warning is the one that's moving along the river. Here's Perry County down into Breckenridge County and Hancock County, pushing over into Meade County. So that's another severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to zoom back toward the Louisville area for us. As we get oh so close, we're going to start to see our weather deteriorate here. New warnings continue to pop, and now this one includes parts of Jefferson County. So I'll zoom into that. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Floyd, Harrison, Meade, and Washington counties. And I know we have some overlap, so that's Floyd and Harrison and Washington.
Our sky SkyTrack camera's got a good view
of
that
Indiana.
right there.
The SkyTrack, yes. Oh, yeah, I can see it out there. So you can see that behind Brian, but we can show you that SkyTrack camera showing that storm moving in. Camera starting to shake just a bit. We do have the tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning. Wind possibilities up to 60 miles an hour. The hail size, not all that impressive. We haven't seen a whole lot of hail today. That's all right. We'll deal with the wind and the possibility of the tornadoes as they move in. But this storm also has the potential to do some damage as it pushes a little closer to us. Bottom line on this, they allowed the tornado warning to expire. They replaced it with a severe thunderstorm warning, much larger in geographic coverage, that now includes the tag tornado possible and the radar indicated push of wind now moving into northern parts of Floyd County, lifting up into parts of Clark County as well. That will be moving off to the north and east. All right, let me zoom back out. That's the severe thunderstorm warning that's approaching the metro area, the one that we've had our eyes on that has great rotation that we've noted. Notice these southern storms starting to fire as well. Let's go back to the tornado warning. We will not ignore the folks of southern Indiana. Starting to see a little bit of pink showing up, oftentimes a sign of intensification, some hail potential now with that storm. Still not seeing that defined hook that we saw earlier, but there's still some notches within that. So let me show you the velocity. This will give us a better idea of where we have that intense rotation. And there it is, gate-to-gate shear showing up right toward the Wakefield area, moving toward DuPont. So this was where we would have the rotation. How do we know that? Based on the colors of the radar. Again, when we're looking at this radar, we have greens going toward the radar, reds going away from the radar. That's where we have that couplet. That's the rotation that we see. That would be approaching Wakefield and DuPont. You should be in your tornado safe place as this storm moves off to the north and east. Brian, what do you have?
Yeah, just keep an eye on Louisville here, Kevin, as far as southern Indiana across the river into New Albany. This is where we still have, it's not a very well-defined rotation, but the idea is this is one of those that can easily develop without much of advance notice on that. This is, let me show you the SkyTrack camera too, as this storm again is moving right across Floyd County into Clark County, Indiana. So if you're watching right now, you probably have heard your phones go off with the weather alerts. And again, this is as right now just a severe thunderstorm warning with a possible idea of a tornado potential on that. It's got that tornado tag on it. Another update too, by the way, Kevin, just from what we got from Jefferson County, Indiana, the deputies are watching that storm carefully. They're saying at the moment they're seeing the rotation aloft. They're not seeing it on the ground, but that could easily change in a matter of minutes. So.
Yeah, and that's for sure. We've seen that happen. Let's go to Ryan Hoke. He's sitting behind you. Let's just see if he has any new information as well as we continue to track this very tight rotation, as you can see from the radar. We see also information coming out of southern Indiana over in Floyd County, clouds that look to be rotating near the firehouse there, but not touching down. So we do have some rotation with that storm, southern Indiana, that is a severe thunderstorm warning moving across Floyd County. Ryan?
Yeah, Jackson County, this is just in from Ward Jollis there. They do have the tornado sirens on, and yes, they also, again, say that there was a tornado that way. So there's been some conflicts back and forth here, but it looks like yes on the tornado, and now yes on the tornado sirens working up that way.
And Crawford County, by the way, we're getting reports, the roof torn off the fire station there in Carefree in Crawford County, and in Pilot Knob, many trees are down, that's all they're saying. So it's kind of a widespread damage scenario trying to unfold there from Crawford as that line's pushing into the knobs there.
All right, and we'll get a location, if you would mind plotting where the storm tracker is, just so we can keep an eye on Carson. Ward Jollis is keeping an eye on information that's coming in as well. He's saying that they've been making phone calls, many of the emergency personnel busy at this point out of Jackson County, busy also out of Crawford County, and it's likely why, because they are taking calls related to the damage that we're now starting to see come in, both by viewers and by emergency personnel. So just keep that in mind. This is the strongest storm that we have on the radar right now. We've got our eyes on it. The tornado warning continues with that. That's going to push toward DuPont and Wakefield, eventually moving over toward Canaan and approaching the Cedar Creek area. So that is one that we're watching. Back to our regular reflectivity, and then we'll start looking to see if we see any debris in any of these signatures. Again, still seeing just a little bit of a hook there, if you will, embedded within sort of a messy line, but that is where we have the greatest rotation. And then I'm just going to go back to the home view. That's the tornado warning. We get closer to the city, lots of lightning, possibility of rotation, the broad rotation. Many of these storms we have today are going to rotate. That's the nature of the wind field that we're dealing with. Strong wind shear in the atmosphere. We've known this for quite some time. 56-mile-per-hour winds being reported just across the river in Floyd County with this storm. So let's zoom into it just a little bit more. And while I'm looking at this storm, Brian has his eyes on the storm to the north. So we're never taking our eyes off of the storms that we're watching across the area. Guys, you see something?
We're just seeing a kind of a lower end of the cloud deck there on the southwest corner of that. Let's show you the Skytrack camera so you can see what we're referring to. And again, this is right across the river into Indiana. Some of that's a rain shaft. Some of that, too, we're watching to see because it does line up a little more with some of that rotation. It's still fairly broad, but it's still very apparent on the radar. So, again, that is about to cross right over into I-65 once it gets to the other side there of Floyd County here very soon.
All right, 9 minutes left on the tornado warning off to the north. We've got 24 minutes left on the severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses the Louisville area, southern Indiana. This is where we're watching that severe thunderstorm move through. Lots of wind, lots of rain, some rotation with that. Let me just point out where we have the rotation. I'm just going to put the velocity on at this point, and we'll be able to pick out some of the wiggles in that line, if you will. And that's where we have some strong winds. You see some of that very much near the New Albany area, which is why we had the report of 56-mile-per-hour winds coming out of New Albany. So we do have some strong wind just across the river from Louisville inbound to the city. So Jeffersonville, be on standby. That's coming your way next. Back to the reflectivity we go on the radar, back to the home view. Let's go north. We've got to get a check of that radar view up to the north of us across parts of Jefferson County, Indiana. We'll zoom back into that, looking along that entire line. Here's what's important to know. If this line is past you, the severe weather threat is coming to an end. All right. Out ahead of that, not yet. We still have plenty more to go across our counties of Kentucky, but a good chunk of southern Indiana is working your way out of the severe weather threat over the course of the next half hour or so. This is the area of concern with the tornado warnings, obviously. Small hail possible moving toward DuPont. When we look at the velocity on this, let me just pull up the velocity scope. And with that scope, we can see the rotation within that storm. And you're going to see that pop on, and there it is. Just now passing Kaminsky, moving toward DuPont, just over Midway. So strong winds right in that area, likely doing damage. This is the storm that had the report of a tornado on the ground near Crothersville. This has since moved to the east. It's moving at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Brian?
Kevin, I'm gotten that shear marker. I'm watching it carefully. This is the one that's heading right in. It's a bit delayed, by the way, but it's heading right into New Albany. You see this little area of the purple that is showing up past Georgetown, right along basically the Lee Hamilton, tracking into the knobs. And this is roughly going to be about a 6 or 7 minute delay on this image, but that is putting it very close to the Ohio River. Now, let me show you.
So that could be the 56-mile-per-hour wind.
Very well could be, because it's tracking on the southern side. That doesn't necessarily mean a tornado, but this is the section that we're watching of the cell. And again, that's the rain shaft on the right-hand side, torrential rain. It's the left hand, the middle, really, of the screen, and left-hand corner of it. That's the area we're watching to see if there's anything more than just straight line of winds rolling through the area. But you can tell just by looking at the image how fast the cell is indeed moving, crossing I-65. But again, nothing as far as the trail has been confirmed or anything like that out of this cell moving just north of downtown Louisville. But there's no doubt some very strong winds with that.
And I know some people looking at that image behind you see some of those appendages hanging down, some of that scud.
Correct.
The base of that cloud is rotating.
Correct. The entire thing here is rotating around. So again, it's going to be the area where you don't have that grayish or this darkish purple that's getting pulled down to the ground level. It's the area just to the west of that. That's the area we're watching for just a broad rotation right now. But I don't see anything that is overly alarming yet. But no doubt, 56-mile-per-hour wind can still cause some damage.
All right. Eyes on the sky today as these storms move into the Louisville metro. We've got areas to the north where we haven't taken our eyes off of the rotation that's now moving into western Jefferson County, Indiana. This is approaching DuPont, coming out of Comiskey, moving toward Midway. So this is the rotation for the tornado warning. That warning continues for another 5 minutes, and then the severe thunderstorm warning for Louisville for another 20 minutes. That will take us right up before 6 p.m. Additional warnings are likely. We continue to track this rotation. We've had no recent reports that the tornado is on the ground here. We have the storm tracker out and about. It is now coming in behind this. We've asked it to move through the Crothersville area to catch up to see if we've had any damage being reported out of this. We'll plot its location coming up, show you where Carson is in just a second. Let me get rid of the scope. Let's go back to our home view. And I know we keep going back and forth on the views, but it's important because we have to get an understanding of what's happening both along that line and out ahead of it, because out ahead of it, we've got clusters of storms as well. But the main threat at this point has been along that line, and that's where we have. Now, we're getting some trees down across parts of Floyd County, likely because of that shear marker, that pocket of wind that Brian pointed out. That is moving into the Louisville area. So we very well could see additional upticks on that. Trees are down on 62 and Highway 11 over in Floyd County. So that's just across the river. Lots of lightning with the strongest storms. That includes Floyd County. That also includes western Jefferson County of southern Indiana. Brian, I see you're looking at some of the strong winds now moving into Floyd County. Let's go to your radar.
Yeah, exactly. This is about to cross I-65. So here it is, 5:25 here on this Tuesday afternoon. I know we got spring break for JCPS, but some schools are in session. We do have rush hour ongoing. So this is a really bad time. If you're watching right now from your office, you have an opportunity to just hold off, let this pass on by. Maybe your best option there. And Kevin, looks like another update on that tornado warning for Jennings there, just FYI.
All right.
They got like 3 different polygons trying to cover the same tornadic cell here.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're dealing with different offices or what the deal is there, but that's quite a mess with the number of tornado warnings for that. But we'll cover it best we can just by saying the area that's being affected by that same sort of couplet or rotation couplet is now moving into western parts of Jefferson County, Indiana. When we work with the National Weather Service, we work with Wilmington, Ohio, we work with Indianapolis, and we also work with Louisville. So we're dealing with a number of locations for warnings. And sometimes when we're right on the edge of the viewing area, they all have different groupings. So that is the latest tornado warning that's coming out for Jefferson County in Indiana that includes that tornado warning. So that's what we're watching, likely to get extended just a little longer. Number of tornado warnings coming out for the same storm. So let me just back out of that, and we'll go back into it. So on the big board, you're going to notice the tornado warning. That includes really, it's that only one to the north. That includes western parts of Jefferson County in Indiana. All right, let's take a look at the radar view. That is the tornado warning storm. This is the one that's moving through Louisville. That one has the potential to also produce some very strong wind. I'm going to zoom into that first, and then we'll go north and then back down toward the Ohio River. This storm moving across Sellersburg, Clark County. It's passing past Borden, moving toward Charlestown, approaching and moving through New Albany, where we have a number of trees down. We also have wires down.
This is getting stronger as it moves into Clark here, Kevin.
Yeah, you can see that just on the reflectivity. But I suppose if we looked at the velocity, we'd really notice it too.
And I'm still getting a strong shear marker too for that particular Boeing segment. The radar's a little muddled because it's so close to downtown and the radar beam. But you're right where your hand is. That is where, that's exactly what we're seeing, that surge of wind. Yeah. That's very close to the Ohio River. In fact, we can take a look at the SkyTrack camera. You can see where it is right now moving into downtown Louisville. And again, that's right on the edge. You can see the visibility drops dramatically in the distance where it's raining so hard in that area. Again, so far, this is just straight line wind, but no doubt this can cause some damage. Already has, in fact, some tree damage into Floyd County. So this is moving to southern Clark County.
All right. We also have on Long Meadow Drive a roof that was damaged there. You can give more information on that, but that's just over in parts of Floyd County. I know we have news crews that are also sort of scouring and looking for damage. They're going to be bringing us reports reports from a number of these locations we're talking about, especially just across the river in Floyd County. Ryan Hoke's just off the phone. He has some new information from parts of southern Indiana. Ryan?
Yeah, we're talking about Jennings County here, Kevin. Just got off the phone with dispatch there, and they say at this time they have several power lines that are down, but no reports of any damage that would be constituted as a tornado at this time. So that's, again, the southern part of Jennings County or Comiskey, where we're trying to get some information from power lines down at this point, Kev.
All right, good to know. Again, the information that we have is valuable, so we know that what is seen on the radar is or is not happening on the ground. We always say in scenarios like this, there's nothing better than the ground truth, a set of eyes that's watching what's happening. Here we go back inside the storm to the north, keeping an eye on that rotation.
There's that strong winds, by the way. I switch over to different radar view. That we're picking up on the northern side of Jefferson County.
Okay, let's go to Jefferson County, and then we'll come back to DuPont. So, Brian, go ahead and take it.
All right, this is, again, for Louisville here that we're looking at, the northern side. And again, I'm having to switch different radar beams because we're getting kind of a different look here. This is looking just around the Evansville area and, again, around Nashville. You can see as well that strong surge of wind that is crossing in northern Jefferson. Now, because of the way the beam does curve, or at least earth curves as the beam goes out, there's a bit of a displacement here, but in general, this is going to be right across Sellersburg, Jeffersonville, up 71 in Jefferson County. This is where very strong winds are passing through. We don't have any gauges right now to really get an idea of how strong the winds are, but no doubt if you're in this area, there could be some wind damage taking place, so we need to watch it.
All right. Again, we're watching the wind moving across southern Indiana. That's moving into the Louisville metro area, crossing back over, not far from Ballard High School, as you saw. We're also watching the couplet that still is on the radar. So we've been tracking this now for quite some time. You've had a large amount of time to be in your tornado safe place from the DuPont area. This is now approaching 421. This will go near Rexville and Canaan. If you are in Jefferson County, Indiana, in that zone, it's right along the county border, you need to be in your tornado safe place. This tornado has had a history of producing damage. It has always sort of maintained its couplet that we can see passing by DuPont, moving toward 421. That will continue its east and a slightly northeast movement on the order of about 40 to 50 miles per hour. So it's a pretty fast moving storm. All of these have been today and has had a history of producing some of that damage. Back to the radar view, lots of lightning with both of these storms that we have. I'm going to pan the storm down. This is the most northern storm. You can see that inflow of the storm. On the back edge of this, heavy rain, but not severe. We push down into parts of Clark County, Indiana. There's Charlestown, Sellersburg, moving into northern parts of Jefferson County. This is where we have a tremendous amount of lightning and heavy rain. This was the push of wind that we talked about out ahead of that main line.
And there's, by the way, Kevin, sorry, let's take a SkyTrack camera. You can see the entire storm right now that is moving into Jefferson County, right on the Ohio River. That's the entire mesocyclone itself right there, parked in the river. The rotation has gone up in this.
Oh, now, substantially.
So there is no tornado warning with this, but there's no doubt that this
I think we have to treat it like what?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, let's look at the rotation.
We're not going to be able to see through this mess, through the rain, so we got to go by radar only right now.
And that's what we're doing. We're just sort of being guided by the radar because even looking at the storm, you could see that visibility is down. Let me show you what Brian was looking at. When we look at the storm across the river, notice that broad rotation. I mean, it's getting tighter and tighter. This would move right into parts of northern and northeastern Jefferson County. So this would take it over toward if you're right along the river Utica, pushing toward Prospect, moving into, and they've put a severe thunderstorm warning out for that. Would not be surprised. Let's see what the warning says. Tornado possible with that. So we knew it would include that tag simply because of that rotation that was showing up within the scan. Wouldn't be surprised if that continues to tighten, that this goes to a tornado warning. All right. This includes parts of Clark, Henry, Jefferson, and Oldham counties as that storm continues to move off to the north and east. It will impact a good chunk of Oldham County, northeast Jefferson County. We have strong winds pushing through downtown. We hear the rain, the thunder, even here at the station. All right. 76 degrees, wind gust 44. And the storm's right along the river. We're getting that measurement coming in from the airport. So.
And that's fairly far away from the outflow, just now pushed right there into the middle of Jefferson County. But you're right, it's right there on the river, crossing into to Prospect right now. And we're watching, we're about to lose probably the camera feed here in a minute once the heavy rain hits the lens. But,
all right. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah. You can see the storm tracker behind us. Let me just dip in quickly. Carson, where are you? And are you close to that Crothersville area where we were looking for the potential storm damage? Let's keep the radar up.
Yeah, Kevin, we are on 65. We're about to cross into Scott County. So we're well on the backside of this storm. We had to kind of pivot. We were originally heading back to Louisville. Now we're going to head up towards Crothersville, Austin. We should be there in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. We'll check out if there's been any damage in that particular area right along that Jackson-Scott County line where that rotation was pretty tight about a half hour ago. So, Kevin, we'll let you know what we see. We should be moving into that area, Austin, Crothersville, here in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so.
All right. Appreciate that. The radar shows for Louisville severe thunderstorm warning. We go back to the wider view. The tornado warning continues to our north. We've got another 10 minutes on the tornado warning off to the north of us. So we'll go back to the home view here. We have reports coming in where we have a roof collapse. There's a tree on the roof, but there's no entrapment. That's according to dispatch over across parts of Floyd County. So that's one area that's been concerning. We knew we had some problems going on there, and that's moving through. So the strongest of the winds passing Floyd County, but still seeing some heavy rain and wind. All right, let's go back to the tornado warning, and let's see if we still have that. Okay. We've got a new tornado warning, and boy, that's exactly what we were talking about. You know, we said as that tightened up, we wouldn't be surprised if we saw a tornado warning come out for this storm over the Prospect area. That's going to include Goshen, Skylight, Crestwood, over to LaGrange. This storm, again, showing the inflow to the storm, we can see that velocity. So let me show it to you because we were noting, and wow, that may be the tightest one of the day that we've seen. Brian's going to get a measurement of the gate-to-gate winds on this where we can measure the velocity. We had 104, I think, on the storm off to the north. What's this one, Brian?
This one right now is coming in at about 84 miles per hour. Yeah.
Not quite as strong, but still impressive as we look at it on the velocity view, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, this is going from, again, the radar beam that we have there at Fort Knox. This is moving into an area right into southern or southwest areas of Oldham County. More than likely, the air raid sirens are going off. This is, again, just a good reminder of safe places to get into. As we always try to say, the first thing you need to do is get into the lowest level of your home, get away from exterior walls. That's the second thing you need to do. Basement is obviously the best. If you don't have a basement, interior room, a hallway, a bathroom, anything without windows is the best idea. And again, away from any wall that does not touch the outside world. And cover yourself up, put on some tennis shoes in case there's any glass that is broken. Always take these safety precautions carefully. As again, the worst of that storm right now, Kevin, is moving right into the western side of Oldham County near Goshen.
Yeah, populated area both across southern parts of Indiana and northeast Jefferson County. So again, that is the tornadic storm. We see the rotation on the radar. No confirmation at this point. It's radar indicated, but nonetheless, you should take it seriously, get in that tornado safe place as it moves off to the north and east. Severe weather surrounds that warning. We noted earlier when we saw that couplet forming, getting tighter and tighter, that could be the next tornado warning. And it is. We still have the tornado warning up around northern parts of Jefferson County, Indiana. That one still shows the couplet as well. Notice the lightning with that. Severe thunderstorm warnings down toward northern Breckenridge and Meade County. That we've had no reports of damage out of. Still seeing some strong winds. Let me take you on a radar tour that starts with the tornado warning to the north, and then we'll work our way down to northeast Jefferson County. This tornado warning is showing some signs of diminishing just a bit, and I can show you what that looks like on the velocity.
Kevin, we got some wind updates.
Let's do it.
Yeah, 46-mile-per-hour gust reported at the Clark County Regional Airport there, just on the north side of Jeffersonville. That was detected by a weather station up that way. So this is moving through as we speak.
And this looks like on the SkyTrack camera, this looks like a wall cloud, or at least the lowering of the wall cloud, is starting to happen here in northeast Jefferson County. It's going to be rain wraps. It's going to be very difficult to see, but this is a very ominous looking picture, Kevin, as the velocity continues to get worse and worse. We do have a crew, once it's safe to get by this area, we do have a crew up there to hopefully give us a little more ground truth. But if you're in that area, northeast Jefferson, western Oldham, stay in your safe spot, please.
All right. I want to keep the radar up as much as we can, along with being able to see our visuals from our SkyTrack cameras. We have 2 areas of rotation that we're tracking. We can show that to you based on the velocity. You see this one here. It's gone nowhere. Thought it had weakened just a bit, but no way in the last scan. Right along 421 over toward Canaan. Still a very tight rotation.
They have repeated. They've now called this a particularly dangerous situation for Oldham County and LaGrange area.
We have
observed a large and dangerous tornado. Apparently, it's on the ground.
We have reports of a semi overturned at the roundabout East State Road 62 in Jeffersonville. So we're blowing over semis. We have what appears to be the confirmed tornado on the ground. Let me go back to the wider view. I'm going to take you into the Louisville area. We'll focus there for now. Here we go into Louisville, right across into northeast Jefferson County. Again, the Tornadic storm is approaching Prospect. Let's go in a little tighter, and we'll do some street level mapping. This is where we have the strongest push of wind moving through Longview Beach, River Bluff. This is as you work your way up 42 into Goshen. This is over the Prospect area. This is moving out of southern Indiana and crossing the Ohio River as you work your way up past 612 Mile Island. Here we go into Oldham County. River Bluff, a large subdivision there. This will take you toward Prospect, over toward Hunting Creek, and that is an area where we have a large population of people as well. So moving out of southern Indiana, large population, toppling over semis, now moving across the river and likely doing some damage there. This is reports of a tornado on the ground near the intersection of State Road 265. So over in southern Indiana, parts of the Lee Hamilton, that is where we have had some damage. That's where we come back across the river, not far from Utica. So we do have views from the Trimark Easton Bridge where we can show what that looks like. And you'll notice the water pooling on the bridge and not a whole lot of traffic. Some folks just saying, hey, let's let this massive storm pass as this passes by. And that's a good idea. All right, back to the radar. Again, we're looking at that storm. We see that rotation still showing up. Brian, let's get some streets.
I'll give you some streets here for you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Again, this is a Hunting Creek Drive, Riding Ridge Drive, as well as Chestnut Hill Drive. Again, northeast Jefferson County. Here's the county line. Right here is where we're drawing, and this is where the strongest rotation is going to be taking place. There's River Bluff, there's Prospect. So the northern side of Prospect, crossing over into Oldham County, right along LaGrange Road, heading right into, now this is a bit of a, likely a false echo that's happening here on the radar, but this is the main circulation because it is such a powerful storm. It causes a downstream echo effect or duplication there. But that is heading right into Dimpleytown and eventually right along I-71. If this holds, this is going to be right into LaGrange. So LaGrange, Centerfield, and again, they're going to extend this all the way through Henry County, give everyone as much of advance notice as possible. So even in Campbellsburg, even in Newcastle,
moving so fast,
absolutely 60 miles per hour. It's very difficult to track it, especially when it gets larger like this. It's much more difficult to also see the rain being wrapped around it. Our SkyTrack camera, again, you can't really tell, but from experience, anytime I've seen tornadoes have been on the ground, especially a large one, this is about the image you would get, just because the base is so wide.
And just to give people's perspective here, we're looking out over Spaghetti Junction from downtown. Let's go back to that view. I was explaining the view that we're looking at there. So we're looking back to the east side of Louisville. That is the Big Four Bridge on the lower left-hand side of the screen. So that's taking us off to the north or back out to the east and slightly to the north, right where we'd be looking into that storm toward Prospect. And you can see the lowering of that cloud. Tough to tell if there's actually any tornado. That's what we would call a rain-wrapped tornado. You're not going to see it. Don't try to chase it. Again, you need to be in your lowest level away from windows. Back to the radar we go, where we continue to track this powerful storm that shows great signs of rotation, both inbound and outbound winds churning.
11 reports of vehicles that have been overturned in Clark and Floyd County.
This is
on the Lee Hamilton.
Mile marker 11?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, more vehicles being reported overturned on that county line. That's over toward the Clark-Floyd County line. So as this storm moved across southern Indiana, and this is it. So this is 265. This is where it comes back across into Prospect. So that's the new bridge right there. This is where we had the vehicles being tumped over. Right across parts of Sellersburg and then pushing along that road. That's right where this storm, follow my hand, came right down the road, and now it's over into Prospect. It's moving fast. So let's just jump back. I'm going to pull the radar back just a bit. Again, multiple vehicles turned over Clark and Floyd County. This isn't just one. We've got news crews on the way. We're going to be able to check in with them as the weather eases out of the city just a bit. We got to let the weather ease just a bit, but we'll show you what's happening on the radar. We can show you for sure. This is where we have the greatest rotation coming out of parts of Oldham County. Just get your bearings. This is Norton Commons. This is Orchard Grass Hills. This is 329. Goshen is here. The rotation is over the area, and that's where we have the greatest amount of rotation. We've had damage. We've had vehicles turned over. There's no question that this can do damage. It has done damage. Is it on the ground? I don't know, but it has been. I can tell you that. And it has the ability to be again as we move it toward Park Lake, right along 71 over toward Buckner, just north of the Crestwood area. That is the zone that we have to watch. It's going to travel right along 329. And that's going to provide a tremendous push of wind. So that's what we're watching. I'm going to go back to our home view just to get a quick update on some of the other storms that we have across the area. That's the one we've been completely focused on because of the damage we have. No other warnings exist back out to the south of us. The tornado warning continues back to the north. Let's get a quick check of that as we zoom back into parts of southern Indiana. Just a quick check and then back to Oldham County we go. I'm just going to look at the velocity on this. And you can see that it is starting to weaken just a bit, but still quite a push of wind. That's now moving over toward Avonburg and Moorfield. So the tight rotation that we had isn't still as tight as it was. Let's go back to Louisville.
Okay, Kevin, and we do have a visual now of the flipped vehicles. We're going to have that for you guys in just a second. They're working on it, but apparently we have seen it take place. And again, there's the two main supercells we're watching. This is an indication of the rotation that we're tracking. There's the one cell, and Kevin's right, the one that's moving into northeast side here of Jefferson County, Indiana. The signal is not as strong as what it was. Unlike the one that's traveling into northeast Jefferson County. Let me zoom into that. Right in northeast Jefferson and Oldham, you see where it maxes out in that purple, very close to Prospect. And that's where the strongest of the wind was. Again, it's a bit delayed, but this is heading right along there to LaGrange as it tracks off to the east. But you can certainly see that uptick that happened just northwest of New Albany is when it really started to wind up and track to the east. And Kevin, we're trying to get some of those videos, but it goes without saying, no one travel right now if you can. Just stay at home, let these pass on by, especially around the Louisville metro.
All right, back to the radar we go. I'm going to zoom back into the storm that's off to the south. We'll go back to our home view. Here comes more on the Louisville storm over now into parts of Oldham County. I'm going to take you into that storm. We'll take a look to see if we can find any debris with that. That gives us a great indication whether that storm is still on the ground. We still see the rotation there. I'm going to put on in our scopes what we would call the debris scope. We can check that. This measures what we call a correlation coefficient. You really don't need to know what that is outside of the fact is what we're looking for to see if we have anything that doesn't match the radar, anything that would be foreign to the radar. It's not rain, it's not ice, it's not snow. It's something that's a little more dense that when the radar hits it, it comes back to us at a faster rate. And we do still have that potential of seeing that. So we had the CCs drop out earlier. The debris detector still shows what could be some debris right along 42. That would give us an idea. We have a number of ways to see what's happening. The radar is one of those. Another one happens to be the Trimark cameras that we have. Let me show you the overturned semi that we have in parts of southern Indiana. And you can see the backup showing up because of that just behind me. So again, moving out of southern Indiana, the storm is now into Oldham County. It has blown over semis more than one, according to dispatch and the emergency crews that are out and about. And you can see them. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3 that I see in your screen that have been blown over. That's a number of trucks that have been completely blown over. And if you look on top of the overpass, that's another one that's blown over on its side. So that's 4 in the picture that we have from the Trimark. So this storm came right across, blew those trucks over on the ground, likely still on the ground as this moves across parts of Oldham County. Let's get an update with Brian.
All right, and Kevin, that's we're working on those particular images at the moment. But you're right. Again, for those of you around, say, look, Range Road, I-71, don't be traveling that area right now. Get into your safe spot. Big heads up. Also, of course, for Henry County, we don't know if the cell and the supercell is going to hold on to its rotation entirely. You see, it's got a little bit of blue showing up. That's only because the radar beam the way it is now, the rain's kind of interfering with the signal. But for all intents and purposes, that rotation is still there, heading right into the eastern side and very soon here into Oldham County, tracking into the Henry County area. And I believe that was still about 60 miles per hour, Kevin, that motion was to the east.
The tornado warning is out of Jefferson County. That part of the warning allowed to expire, but continues across Oldham County. It's the reason it's flashing. This was going to take it right toward the Brownsboro area. So if you're familiar with that location in Oldham County, you need to be in your tornado safe place. This is a wicked day where we started out late last night. We've been here all night long tracking storms. Early this morning, 7 o'clock, tornado warnings. We had the tornado touch down, 2 of them, in fact, one in Anderson, one in Nelson, 90-mile-per-hour winds. And then late this afternoon, knew we'd have another resurgence, and this one happens to be moving across the metro area. Highly populated, dense population, and an area where we've seen damage, blowing over 18-wheelers or semis on 265. That's the Lee Hamilton over in southern Indiana. And now this storm continues on the ground, moving across I-71, not far from Brownsboro, just south of LaGrange, pushing near the Dempleytown area. That is going to continue making its movement at about 45 to 50 miles an hour. Fast moving storms, you have some time to prepare. If you're in Smithfield, Newcastle, Eminence, I know you're not in the warning, but you should be prepared and be on standby. If you're in LaGrange, get to the lowest level. You should have already been there by now. Dempleytown, it's too late. It's on top of you. All right. So those are the areas that we're watching. When we go back to the home view, you're going to notice once this line passes in southern Indiana, at least our counties in southern Indiana, are almost clear of the severe weather. What's not clear happens to be the area that we're watching up around Oldham, as well as parts of what will be eventually western parts of Henry County, southern parts of Trimble County, and we continue to assess the damage that's coming in. We know we've had tornadoes that have been on the ground. We have seen the Trimark images coming in where 18-wheelers have been blown over. And again, that's on the Lee Hamilton, on the Clark-Floyd County line. If you look at this image, you can see 2 or 3 on that bottom lane. And if you look above, it appears as though one is tumped over there. Now, the question is, did everybody get out okay? Did we wind up seeing any injuries or problems out of that? We don't know that answer yet. All of this has just happened within the last 20 minutes or so. Let's go over to Brian and Ryan with an update, guys.
All right, Kevin. Ryan, of course, is checking out some of the Trimark cameras we've got in the area. We got, you saw the still images there, but we also have feeds, and we're getting reports of damage even near International Drive on the Lee Hamilton 265 as you move into Floyd and into parts of Clark counties. This, again, is the shear marker, still indicating a very strong rotation. Let me show you what it looks like on the actual radar, and this is a very large supercell that's kind of embedding itself into the actual line here, but still very strong winds. Even without a tornado setup, the straight line wind, especially on the southeast side here of Oldham County, as you get just south of LaGrange, this is where you can easily get winds that could exceed 70 to 80 miles per hour as it crosses I-71. I'm hoping everyone has stopped into a safe spot here on 71, especially around Crestwood, all the way north of Pendleton, exit into Kentucky, because that's a very dangerous spot. I got a feeling we're going to be seeing more and hearing more about 71 here soon.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the area that it's moving through. It's so populated here. Quick update, 52-mile-per-hour gust up in Floyd's Knobs, by the way, as these storms move through. So we're continuing to monitor, of course, the gusts, too.
We haven't heard anyone being hurt, right? I think
Not
that's
yet.
so far no
Haven't seen
injuries been in. I hope that's still the case, but we'll keep you updated on that too, Kevin, as we get those reports in.
All right. I'll just ask the folks in the booth, do we have any reporters that are on the scene yet so we can get real-time information from either the place where we had the roof collapse in Floyd County or perhaps over on the interstates? We've got folks that are headed there now. Obviously, when the weather's like this, it takes a little bit more time to get to where you're going. So we'll be able to get you that as soon as we can. We know we have Carson Meredith. He is in the storm tracker. He has been behind this line of storms purposefully just to make sure he was out of harm's way. Anytime you have storms moving this fast, you don't want to be in front of them because of the non-gridded roads that we have around here. You can't get away. There's no good escape. So you always want to be behind them around this part of the country when they're moving this fast. 76 degrees, gusts to 37 in Louisville. Our severe weather threat in the city coming
Kevin,
to an end. Yes.
Actually, I'm seeing some rotation trying to develop in Meade County and pushing into southern Harrison here. So we're going to be watching that. That's going to feed right into downtown Louisville, it looks like, here very, very soon. It's just now starting. And Tornadic Tux is near the radar beam, so I had to use a different one coming in Evansville and both Evansville and Nashville to track that. But again, right on the southern side there of Harrison County into Meade County, there is some rotation very close to Brandenburg. We'll see if that holds together. A little more of a hail signal showing up, too, that may move into southeast Harrison into the PRP Greenbelt area, too, as that moves in.
All right. Again, when we look at the big board here, I'm going to show you the warnings that we have. 6 more minutes, tornado warnings that include parts of Oldham County over into Shelby County, Beverly Cliff, Shelby. And again, the one for Jefferson County has been allowed to expire. So that is our big board. When we look at the radar view, you're going to notice that the bulk of the storms are now situated along and south of the Ohio River. We have more tornado warnings coming out with severe thunderstorm warnings up toward the Cincinnati metro area. That's outside of our viewing area, so we'll let the folks in Cincinnati take care of those. We will take care of the folks over in parts of Oldham County, moving into Henry County. We still have the inflow to that storm as it's crossed over 71. Let's look at the velocity on this as we take a closer view inside the storm. Again, what we have to look at is that rotation, and it's still there. It's not nearly as pronounced as it was, but we still see that rotation right over LaGrange, and that's going to move into far western parts of Henry County. Smithfield, Pendleton should be on guard as this storm crosses 71 and moves in. Let's just look while we have the radar situated here at any debris that we may have. None showing up. What we'd be looking for would be some blues showing up within this embedded sort of maroon color, and we don't have that, which is good news. We had it earlier, and that's where we had some problems as the tornado was on the ground. As we go back to our reflectivity, we've had no major reports of hail this afternoon. That's been good. We still have the tornado warning that includes a good chunk of Oldham County. We'll see if this gets extended into parts of Henry County. For now, no extension just yet. We continue to track that off to the northeast, 50 miles per hour. So it's moving fast. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke. Ryan's on the phone. I see he thought he was motioning to me. He's on the phone. We'll get with him in just a second. When we go back down, and let me just zoom out. So we go to our home view here. Here's the new tornado warning. So it is being extended. This is what we were waiting on.
And they're keeping it as a PDS tornado warning.
All right.
For a particularly dangerous situation.
Yeah. So PDS tornado warning. Particularly dangerous situation, as Brian just mentioned. That means it's been associated with having a tornado on the ground. It has produced damage. We've seen it. And now this storm moves into Newcastle, 421, Smithfield, Eminence, Campbellsburg, just south of you. That's the zone that we have to watch. It's radar indicated right now. All right, because we have lost the rotation. The eyes on it have gone where we say, okay, I don't see a tornado on the ground anymore. Fine. The radar still sees the rotation. And at any point, it can touch back down. Why? Because the atmosphere is primed for seeing rotating storms today. We've known this for quite some time. We have very strong wind shear. We have lift because we have the front moving in. We have the instability, and we have a tremendous amount of moisture. Those are the ingredients that we need for severe thunderstorms. We have the wind field in the setup perfect for shear. and that's going to provide that rotation that we have as well. So that's the tornado warning that will continue. That tornado warning will continue for another 32 minutes. That takes us to 6:30 tonight. All right, we'll track that right across Henry County, get it out of the area. Brian was mentioning that storm across southern parts of Harrison County down into Meade County. Let's get a check of that, Brian.
Okay, yeah, that's the one that's the lightning is always a good indicator too when we see that lightning try to uptick, and it's not to the point of anything severe, but this is a zone where we keep seeing storms that keep trying to intensify in that southwest flow. I think one of the bigger issues here, Kevin, if this holds in its current path, as you notice there, that it's not moving very much to the east. So we're likely going to run into a very heavy rain, if not a flash flooding type scenario, because this is feeding into Jefferson County, Meade County, Radcliffe area. This is an area we've already picked up a good solid ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain today. This is easily going to put down another ½ inch to 3/4, if not more, as this moves into Louisville. So watch out for some hydroplane issues, especially on the Greenbelt. The Georgia Power is heading into areas of the Snyder Freeway in southern Jefferson County. But again, this is not a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but storms are indeed moving into Louisville. So if you're hearing thunder, you notice the wind picking up outside. We are watching that. And those of you too down in southern Kentucky, we haven't forgot about you. We're watching these cells carefully as they move in out of Tennessee. So far, we have no warnings with any of these cells that are moving in. Everything has been near Louisville or north. And we hope that's a trend that keeps moving out. But right now, the radar continues to light up. And again, rainfall rates of at least 2 inches per hour in some cases there.
Well, and I'll tell you, not just the rainfall rates we have to worry with, but if folks think, oh, man, we're not paying attention to us down here, it's because we've got to pay attention to somebody else where we have the tornado warned storm, because they're on the ground. They're doing damage. So trust me, when we need to pay attention, we'll let you know. We're not ignoring anybody. I know that always seems like that could be the case when we're focused in on a particular place for a lengthy period of time. We still have the tornado warning that's now been extended across Henry County. That is until 6:30 tonight. It's moving at 55 miles per hour off to the east. Ryan Hoax just off the phone. What information can you give us?
Yeah, just got off the phone with the Deputy Director of Emergency Management in Clark County, I should say. They have structures damaged in Clark County. They don't know how many. No injuries reported yet from those overturned semis. In his words, several were overturned, as we saw there in that image earlier. So we're going to continue to get information from Clark County, Kevin.
All right. Appreciate that. Hail falling in some areas. I'm getting information in from some of our storm spotters coming in from LaGrange, where we have had some hail reports. Now that tornado continues over into Henry County. So let's just go back in. We'll give the folks in Henry County a close-up view. We'll work our way back down across Jefferson County. More rain coming in from the south, not severe at this point. The only warning that we have in our viewing area is the tornado warning, and this goes until 6:30 tonight. We're right at 6 o'clock. We've got another 30 minutes on this warning. Notice the lightning. It's not all that impressive with this part of the storm. Down to 14 at this point. Now, that is the reflectivity that we're looking at. This gives us a measure of the rain and the intensity of the rain. I'm going to square this up here. You'll notice that that's now pushing across 421. We're looking for where we may have the rotation. I would say if I had to pick it out, it would be close to Smithfield. Let's just see if it matches up with that. Very close. So between Pendleton and Smithfield would be where we have that greatest rotation. That's going to move right toward Newcastle. 421 would be the cross, and then that's going to make its way through the far eastern side of Henry County. A little more rural out that way, but nonetheless, as it makes its way across 421, you've got to be in your tornado safe place. This is moving fast, 55 miles an hour to the east. It'll be out of this polygon, out of the county before the half hour is up. So it's moving that fast. When we talk about the damage that we picked up so far today, we've had a number of reports. We go back to this morning where we had EF1 damage down in Nelson County, Chaplin. We had a family that was in their barn-dominium, whatever you want to call it. It was a structure that was housing several folks. It sort of got blown off of its foundation. At this point, we don't know of any injuries. We said nobody was injured there. So that's good news. We had another EF1 tornado in Anderson County. Winds of 90 miles per hour, both of those storms. This afternoon, we know we've had damage across parts of Crawford County, Floyd County, Jefferson County, and now into Oldham County, Clark County, right through the metro. we know we've had damage reports. We're working to get crews there so we can see that damage. Some structures have been damaged. Some vehicles have been flipped. And we know that we have some problems with power even out in a number of places. We've seen the lines down. All right. We continue to track this storm with the rotation showing up on the radar, moving over 421, approaching the Newcastle area. If you're in Louisville and you're like, man, is that thunder I'm hearing in Shively?
The SkyTrack camera is
another round coming in. Brian, let's just go to you.
Yeah, I was going to say the SkyTrack, since you're referring to that, right there again on the western side of Louisville. Nothing severe right now noted, but obviously some very ominous looking clouds. Once that moves over your head, that's where you're going to deal with a lot of rain. But there's been some intense lightning strikes I've been noticing there in that view at times. I wouldn't be surprised to see some hail reports start to increase too. Again, this is going to be on the Greenbelt all the way to about upper Hunters all the way up to about Shively. That's the area we're going to be watching over the next 10 to 15 minutes.
All right. Again, more incoming weather into western Jefferson County. Sub-severe at this point, but still has the ability to produce not only the wind, but that hail that Brian mentioned. The only rotation we have showing up at this point, at least notable, is over the Smithfield area approaching Newcastle. That's where we have the tornado warning that goes until 6:30. Let me just zoom back out. It's good to always get our bearings where we are and how much we have left to go. This is the line. Behind that line, the severe weather threat fades. 32-mile-per-hour winds out of the area. We've got 154 lightning strikes. The only warning that we have in our area is the tornado warning for that's going to be.
Yeah, but we got debris on radar just west of Newcastle here.
All right. Well, let's zoom into that, and we can check that out pretty easily with the radar. So we'll zoom in. Debris showing up. This is where we were saying we have the rotation as we push back into this storm not far from Newcastle. We said 421 was the cross. Let's just take a look at the debris. We go into that. If we click on, and then we can go to debris, what we're looking for would be a color that doesn't belong, so to speak, and boom, there it is. That means we have likely something that's been lofted into the atmosphere that's not precipitation. That could be anything from dirt to shingles to whatever, and we have that right along 146 approaching Newcastle. So this tells us that it's on the ground. That sort of gives us credence that we should say, be sure you are in your tornado safe place at this point. When we show the velocity, you're going to see the couplet on that storm, and that has intensified since the last scan that we had. I'm just going to pan this radar over. This tornado warning continues. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah. This continues right along 146, pushing right into Newcastle. Pretty populated area for Henry County. It's just south of Campbellsburg. You've got to be in your tornado safe place in the Newcastle area. Brian, some street level mapping?
Yeah, let me get you right into that. And again, this is, we're looking at the wind fields. I'll keep it on the wind fields. That's the easiest way right now for us to see. This is, again, just west of the Newcastle area. This is where you got that rotation. Again, you're looking
warning's
at the,
being extended, by the way, into Owen County.
Okay, all right. Off to the east there. Again, this is a very strong signal that we're looking at. Here is LaGrange Road, 146. Again, the western side. So this is going to hold together, and this is a bit of a delayed image. So this is going to be right over Cedar Street, right in the middle of actually Newcastle itself. And we look at that debris signature again, because that's what really tells us kind of the path we're looking at here. Again, you see that signal very strong once you get into that lighter blue area right along 146 heading into Newcastle. So if that's holding true, then this is a tornado that's on the ground doing damage that is moving over Newcastle, heading just south of Jordan Springs and then northwest of Slavetown, Kevin. So I can see why that warning was extended out, because this is probably going to be on the ground for at least another 30 minutes.
Wow, this could be what we feared today, one of those long track tornadoes. This is the same storm that did the damage over in Clark County, Brian.
Exactly. It started just actually northwest of New Albany is when the rotation really started to kick in. It's been kind of overturned semis there into Floyd County, parts of Clark County. We had the wind, I believe it was 46 miles per hour. That was measured there into Jeffersonville, Indiana. And now we're getting, we're using the radar tools of the debris signature as the best way we can see that rotation crossing into Newcastle itself. Also, of course, you're probably hearing the rain and storms here in Louisville. No warning for Louisville. We are watching the rain pick up here as well in the city, Kevin.
All right, debris showing up on radar. The velocity shows the rotation. Newcastle, you are in the target zone for this as this continues to move through. What this tells us is it is confirmed. It's on the ground. we need no more confirmation than seeing what the radar has shown us to know that we have something abnormal, which would mean some type of lofting of debris into the radar signature as that moves toward Newcastle. So you have to be at your lowest level away from windows. This is going to do some damage. It's pushing toward the Newcastle area. It's going to pass you. It's going to go as we track it to the north and east, probably close to the Delville area, but Newcastle, it's right on top of you right now, and that is what we're seeing. We'll go back and forth between velocity and debris, and we can show you where that is. In fact, let me just do it in the scope. I can use the debris scope and show you that. As we look to Newcastle, we're just going to scan this around, and again, that would be where we see it, right over the Newcastle area, where we would have that possibility of seeing the potential debris. All right. So that is where we have the greatest rotation. Both of those match up. That's what we look for. All right. We sort of put the pieces of the puzzle together to say that this is where we have the rotation. It could be a large tornado that's on the ground. The rotation is very large. It is showing signs that it would be near the Newcastle area, right where my fist is. All right. We're going to track that right through Newcastle, over in Henry County. It's past Smithfield. It's past Pendleton. It is just south of Campbellsburg. There's the latest scan, again, moving through the Newcastle area. We continue to look around for any type of damage reports. We've had a number of those coming in to the weather center. We've got news crews that are on their way over across the river for the most part. Most of the damage has been at this point. Now, I'm sure we have some coming out of Henry County. We probably have some in Oldham County, but we know we've had some in Crawford, Floyd, Clark, Jefferson counties of Indiana, and now this storm moving through the Newcastle area. Let's go back over to Brian, who has sort of these tracks that he's been putting on, showing some of the stronger storms that we've had today that have been putting down sort of paths, if you will, of the strongest storms.
Yeah, because the history of these cells also tell us a little bit about the behavior and what we're expecting downstream to help us out, for especially those into the eastern side here of Henry County and moving into Owen County. Notice circulation really, again, started up into Floyd County. This is where the semis were overturned in that area there along the Lee Hamilton near portions of River Ridge, International Drive area. The rotation got very strong in southeast areas of Clark County, northeast Jefferson, and western Oldham. There was a weakening that happened very close to Lagrange. This is when the signal went back to radar indicated, and then suddenly see right there, the signal ramped right back up, right over Newcastle.
And boy, that happened fast.
It did happen fast, and this is likely going to be the cycle it will likely take as it moves into Owen County. It may go back up again and touch back down, but each time we've gotten damage reports that have come out of that.
All right. Again, that's one of several storms we've been tracking throughout the day today. The one with the tornado warning moving through Newcastle on the ground with debris showing up on the radar. That continues to pass off at about 55 miles an hour to the east. That's one of several storms we've been tracking. It is one of the only warnings that we have right now. So when we go back again to our home view and I put on the reflectivity, you're going to notice there are no other warnings anywhere along that line. So the warning is for Henry County, and it's been extended into Owen County just outside of our viewing area. Covington, Cincinnati under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the only tornado warning around. Additional storms to our south have not had the ability to go severe at this point. Now, we continue to track those storms, but for now, the ones that have the greatest energy are moving across parts of southern Indiana. We track this as it hit closer to New Albany. Boom, notice the rotation. Southern Clark County, and then over into northeast Jefferson County, Oldham County, and then pushing into Henry County and now Owen County. So that was the path of that storm that you just saw Brian map out for you on a wider view. The line of showers and thunderstorms continues to arc back to the south. We still have some very heavy rain falling downtown. We can hear it hitting the building here. When we look at the metro view, you're going to notice some of that heavy rain pushing across the Portland area down to Shively, PRP, not far from Fairdale, moving through downtown, pushing toward Chickasaw Park. In fact, when we look at how much rain we've had, we can go to our rain reports from MSD just to take a look in the Louisville area since midnight. And you're going to see some areas like PRP hitting close to 1 inch of rain. over 1.5 inches near Jeff. Same story near Sellersburg. Prospect, over 1.5 inches of rain. Further to the south, Hillview, just about 1/3 of an inch. So really depends if you've been under one of these thunderstorms or not. But repetitive amounts of heavy rain could yield some flash flooding concerns as well. The good news is none of this is lasting long. It's all moving fairly fast.
We actually have hail falling in the weather garden right now on our camera feeds, if we're able to punch that up.
All right, and there you see it. So we'll go back to the weather garden camera. Hail falling downtown. With that, you can see it sort of bouncing. There's the view from the Trimark camera over at Old Salem and River Ridge. That's where we had the 18-wheelers blown over. But here in the weather garden, the hail bouncing off of the pavers outside, indicating that at least pea to marble size hail falling here in Louisville. All right, back to the radar we go. You'll see why. We've got the reflectivity showing up. When we look at that, we can look at the hail part of that as well. I can look at that through the scope. Let me just take that. We'll put the hail scope on, and let's just quickly look at the Louisville radar easing up downtown, but there you see it. We had some of that hail pushing through the area, fairly small, but nonetheless able to be seen and certainly able to be heard. Brian?
Yeah, that'll get your attention, obviously, because we really haven't seen too much action since this morning, really, into the heart of Louisville. It's mainly the northern side of the city that has picked up the severe weather. One thing I was asking Ryan, though, we were keeping an eye on some of the wind fields in eastern Jefferson County into Shelby to see if there's any type of inflow that's influencing some of these cells as they're crossing into Louisville, into Oldham, to account for the strengthening process ahead of this front moves in. So far, we're not seeing anything too outstanding on that idea. Most of the wind flow seems to be basically parallel to the actual storm motion, which would indicate more of a straight line wind scenario taking place. But no doubt we'll watch this as it moves into J-Town, along the Snyder into the east end, and again, once again, into Oldham County. I know a lot of folks just got hit. This storm is moving into your area. It's not anything severe, but it's no doubt going to allow for a problem for a lot of emergency crews that are trying to either get to the damaged areas, or if there's anyone that's called in that's hurt. This is where we need your help to stay off the roads as we evolve here for the next couple of hours.
Yeah, we've got pea to dime size hail in the weather garden right now, so this is moving through.
Yeah, quarter size is when we get to the warning level, Kevin. So we're just under that mark, but we mentioned that training effect. You can see how it's really lining up. I think this is going to cause a big problem with hydroplaning and some localized flooding, especially 7th Street, the viaducts, those areas. Just be very careful.
You know, here we think about this date. It's April the 2nd. Tomorrow's the 50th anniversary of April 3rd, 1974, a date that so many folks from here will remember because it was the date of the super outbreak where a number of locations within our viewing area were affected. And here we were planning some remembrances tomorrow for that. And here we're faced the day before with not quite the same scenario, but tornadoes nonetheless. And here we are tracking storms, hopefully with better technology than we had back in the 70s, able to keep people ahead of the storm, hopefully keeping you and your family safe today. Back to the home view, we're still tracking the tornado warning that's going on across parts of Henry County, and it's going to move into Owen County shortly. That's the only warning that we have, thank goodness. It doesn't mean it's the only one we will have. There could be others issued. And you still see on that signature where we could have some rotation showing up. Brian?
Yeah, just hearing from one of the emergency officials out of Jeffersonville, multiple structures damaged along State Road 62. And that roundabout area near Lakeside Quarry Drive area. They're still trying to figure out the scope of that particular incident, but numerous trees down all the way through Utica. They have activated their emergency center there into Jeffersonville as a result of that. So these additional storms are hampering all that effort. It's got to keep them out. All of this is going to be a bit delayed, but there's no doubt we still got some big problems there just the north side of the city that took place earlier.
Yeah, and no doubt it was a tornado. We don't even need the Weather Service to confirm that for us because we have seen reports, we've seen images, videos, so many things. We've had the radar. We know it was a tornado. We just don't know how strong it was. That, too, is based on the type of damage that's seen. So we do have to wait for the survey reports for that. The tornado warning continues. The velocity still shows that couplet that's moving through. It's past Newcastle at this point. Some very strong winds as we move toward Monterey. This will eventually move. This is the county line right here. That pushes over into Owen County, where you find Owenton, right along 127. But as this storm passes out of Owen County, it has left its mark on our viewing area. It's certainly done some damage. We've been able to show you some of that based on the cameras from INDOT, from the Indiana Department of Transportation. We also have noted the very heavy rain that's been falling and some small hail. Luckily, it has been small and nothing on the larger side. We will track this out of Henry County. Once it gets into Owen County, it transitions over to Lexington and Cincinnati, and we'll let those folks handle it from that point forward. For us, this will be the last warning that we have. At least for now. And again, I'll stress that that doesn't mean we won't have any more, because we still have the ability, especially along and south of the Ohio River, to have more warnings issued. This area was worked over a little bit earlier today, but it still had some time to recharge through the afternoon. So wouldn't be surprised to at least see the opportunity for a few storms to intensify as this moves south. It's not going to be some massive outbreak, but I do think we have that potential as that sinks further to the south. So the only warning that we have on the big board is the tornado warning. That's for another 13 minutes technically, though it'll be out of Henry County before that time is up. We've been telling people throughout the day, if you're under the tornado warning, the safest place is a basement or storm shelter. That's as low as you can go. That's underground. If you can't get underground, at least get to the ground level and get in the middle. That is where we find, an area away from windows. We get to the center where there's a bathroom, where there's a closet. Maybe it's under the stairs. That's a place you'd want to be. Ward Jollis has been keeping up with some of the damage this afternoon. Let's get a quick update from him over in the newsroom. Ward?
Yeah, Kevin, we just got actually an update from a viewer who is near Oldham County High School. I want to show you some photos this viewer just sent us right now. There are power lines down near Oldham County High School, as you can see on your screen now, those power lines that have been brought down. I want to quickly mention a little bit about where this is in Oldham County. We are talking about Kentucky 393 and also in Kentucky 146. That is where this damage has been primarily reported. Those power lines are down right now and they are completely over the roadway. So we're going to keep monitoring that situation and we'll update you here pretty soon once we hear more from Oldham County Emergency Management. I'll send it back to, I'm being told that we have not taken the video yet. We want to take this picture as soon as possible. So hopefully we'll get that up here in a second. But again, I want to mention that these images you're seeing on your screen, there we go. It appears we took just the wrong images at first. Those are these power lines we were talking about right now on North Kentucky 393 in Oldham County. That is Oldham County High School that those power lines are right next to. So obviously a dangerous situation unfolding there. Still in Oldham County right now. We're going to keep following that. But of course, emergency crews working to clean up some of those messes right now. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Ward, thank you. Appreciate that. Get any new video in, let us know. We'd love to see some of the damage that we have. We're coming up on 6:20. As we approach 6:30, we'll see the scope of the damage. If we can get you to nightly news, we will. If we need to deliver breaking news information, we will stay on. John Bowl is in the studio. Ward Jollis, obviously, keeping a track from the newsroom. Brian, what do you have?
The storm is getting stronger here, right over EP Tom Sawyer Park in northeast Jefferson County, and especially the Hell Core. And there's a bit of wind showing up, not quite to severe limits on the wind side here in northeast Jefferson, but this is tracking just south of where basically that tornadic storm was. Again, right over Springhurst, Snyder Freeway, southern areas of Oldham County. That's a spot we're watching right now. Ward was talking about some of the power lines that have been down around Oldham County High School. Ryan's keeping a track right now of the power outage reports we get in, Ryan.
Yeah, this literally just updated here. 12% of tracked customers in Oldham County are without power right now. That's over 3,500 customers. I just looked at Louisville as well, and we are seeing in Jefferson County more than 2,500 customers without power. Most of those from Indian Hills and north and eastward. Obviously, Prospect, areas near Norton Commons were hit by this storm pretty hard there. Possible tornado up that way, crossing into Oldham County, where you see about 12% of the 29,000 tracked customers are without power at this time here, Brian. So it's no surprise seeing the pictures of these power lines down that we're starting to light up with, more than 10% of a fairly populated populated county here in Wave Country without power.
Yeah, I got a feeling these numbers going to keep going up too. Much of the power, I believe, the power grid, especially in them counties, a lot of it's below ground, so that does help at least cutting down some of the lines that have been knocked down. But the wind is picking back up again. You're looking at the wind field on the radar at the moment. Here's Crestwood, here's I-71, and again, there is some broad rotation here, but nothing that's alarming to me right now on that side of things. If anything, it's going to be the idea you're going to get some not only very heavy rainfall, but some hail that could easily exceed dime size. We've had that already in downtown Louisville. We will likely see that. Again, it's right at the point near Tinseltown, tracking to the east, right over the county line into Oldham County, just south of I-71, not far from Westport Road. In fact, that's right there at Chamberlain Lane, Tinseltown at the moment, is where if there is at least the potential to get quarter-size hail, that's where it's falling. So we'll be watching that cell. It's getting a little closer to perhaps of some severe limits. And again, it's tracking just south of where the earlier storm was that moved in that produced the damage into Oldham County. You can see the track on that. Let me bring that up.
New thunderstorm warning now coming out for Henry and Jefferson here.
Okay, so that's basically accounting for this hail core, it looks like, and some strong wind gusts. So now this is a warned storm cell, so in eastern Jefferson County. So again, Kevin, potential up to at least quarter-size hail, maybe a bit larger near Tinseltown off to the east.
Yeah, and that storm, again, billowed up fast, now producing hail, still has the potential to produce some wind. It's a severe thunderstorm warning as opposed to a tornado warning, but nonetheless, we know that even within these severe thunderstorm warnings, we have the ability to produce some very strong winds. The tornado warning tag that you see is for Henry County. That's allowed to expire in just a couple of minutes.
It's moving at 75 miles per hour, by the way.
Wow, that's insane. That's how strong these wind fields are that we're dealing with today. As you grow the storm in height, those strong winds above the surface are catching the top of that storm, dragging it along. We've got powerful winds in the atmosphere today. So this is moving at 75 miles an hour. That's going to be pushing fairly fast across southern parts of Oldham County, northern parts of Spencer County, Shelby County, and then eventually over into Henry County once again, which is just now getting rid of the tornado warning that they have in place until 6:30. It's 6:24. We're on with you for another 6 minutes. So let's rotate through what we have. I know we've been showing you the sights from those overturned tractor trailers. That's been for us, the most visual sight that we've seen that says, wow, we've had a tornado touch down. It's done the damage, and we can see what that looks like. So from the NDOT view of the traffic cameras, we could see a number, not just one, not two, but at least four of the tractor trailers that had been blown over. I don't know if we still have that view or not, but I was hoping we could show it one final time. With that said, you can see those tractor trailers blown over, affecting other cars on the road. This is over on Indiana 265. That's the Lee Hamilton. There's a picture of it underneath the overpass. Multiple vehicles flipped over. This is westbound near the Lewis and Clark Bridge. So we were very close to Oldham County as that pushed through. Back to the radar view we go. This is the same storm that now has the tornado warning moving out of Henry County and into Owen County. All right, so that's the storm that we've been watching. Here in Louisville, the thunder and lightning that's ongoing from the highlands all the way down through, say, the airport toward Okolona, moving toward the Jefferson Forest. That's heavy rain. You get up into northeast Jefferson County, fast mover. This is a 75-mile-an-hour thunderstorm that's putting down some hail, now approaching Crestwood, Middletown, J-Town. That's going to arc up toward LaGrange and Smithfield as this races off to the north and east. All right. What other reports have we got as we make our final round, Ryan?
Yeah, at this point, looks like Ward Jollis says that we have major damage in Prospect right now, which is no surprise given what we've seen on radar there. Oldham County still reporting over 3,500 without power down that way. So obviously we're going to be looking at that damage here as we go throughout the next several hours heading into our later newscast.
And again, if you're in any of these areas, whether it's across, you can see the two paths that we had today, the one that crossed over Scott County, Indiana, there was a supercell that likely did damage in that area too, that crossed into Jefferson County, Indiana, and then also the supercell that formed right across New Albany, tracked very close to downtown Louisville. We were watching at least more than likely on our camera view right across the river, moved into Oldham County, now into Henry County as well. please, again, our big reminder, stay off the roads. Do not try to sightsee, try to get out into this mess. Emergency crews need to get to these hard-hit areas, and we're about 90 minutes away, less than that, to get into sunset. It's going to feel a lot darker and look darker because of the clouds and rain. So please just stay off the roads.
Yeah, and make sure you stay away from down power lines as well, because we got a lot of those across the area.
Well, and that becomes problematic when the power is out, and now you're out trying to survey the damage or pick up what you have left, and sometimes you get tripped up simply because those power lines are down. So you have to be careful, even with the power out. Just that much darker, obviously. So be careful. Any other information, Brian, on the storms that you're watching moving through? We were looking at this one moving at 75 miles an hour. That's the latest severe thunderstorm warning that is just about to move out of Jefferson County.
Yeah, it's mainly a straight line wind right now that is still fairly decent that is showing up there. As you get into the eastern side of Jefferson County, we'll monitor that. But right now it does look like to be a straight line wind type scenario just south and east of Crestwood. I would say gusts probably closer to about 55 miles per hour in that area.
Yeah, we haven't seen any gusts higher than that within
So
Jefferson
far,
County.
yeah.
All right, let's check with Carson. I know he's in the storm tracker. He's been across southern Indiana today, launched up into parts of Washington County, went over into Orange County, came back around toward Crothersville and back down into the Louisville area. Carson, what damage have you had a chance to see?
Yeah, Kevin, we are in Utica as we speak. We'll flip the camera around here. We have seen quite a bit of tree limbs down. There may be some power lines down that we just passed a second ago on a side street. But as I pan down the camera, we'll switch to the roof camera here, and you can kind of see there's some trees, branches down, just little limbs more than anything else. And there's a lot of water on the road. So if you are going to be out this evening, take it slow. We had a report, Kevin, of some damage possibly in a subdivision close to the Ohio River here in Utica from that tornado earlier. That's where we're trying to go assess the damage from that particular subdivision. So we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, if we see any additional damage with this subdivision on Lakeside Quarry Drive, again, right along the Ohio River, we'll be sure to pass it along to you here in the next little bit, Kevin.
All right. I assume the snowplow is not going to to a snowbank anywhere soon, so perhaps to move some debris out of the way. Follow that guy and see where he goes. You can see the thunderstorms that we've had across the area are still around Jefferson County, sub-severe at this point, moving over into parts of Oldham County with some strong winds and the potential for some small hail. I'm going to go back to our home view. We've got about 30 seconds left here as we wrap up our coverage and get you to nightly news. The tornado warning for Henry County allowed to push over into Owen County at this point, so we'll hand that off to the neighbors to our east. And for Louisville, the severe thunderstorm warning will now push into Oldham County, northern parts of Shelby County, and again, we will continue to track these storms as they move off to the south. We'll interrupt as needed through the rest of the evening hours, but for the most part, as the radar appears now, the threat is somewhat diminishing just a bit. So we're here to keep you updated. We will have another update for you with coverage from many of our reporters who are out and about coming up on Wave News at 7 o'clock. For Brian Good, Ryan Hoke, I'm Kevin Harnett, and for all of us at Wave, we appreciate you trusting us, tracking severe weather across Wave Country today.